everyone, my name is Crystal, just in case you're new here, and today I have a summer reading book haul for you guys. So during this quarantine, I had nothing better to do with my time than to purchase unnecessary books, along with looking at my bookshelves, and I have a ridiculous amount of books that I still need to get to, but I just haven't gotten to yet, or I just haven't been in the mood for it. But recently I picked up a lot of books that I have been in the mood for and that I've been wanting to read, or new releases that I've been wanting to read. So let's just get into the book haul in no particular order. I just have like two big stacks here that I just grabbed the books that I purchased, and we'll get into it. Also, I have some Netgalley ARCs that I have to talk about with you, and some Kindle books that I purchased because I didn't want to keep purchasing physical books because I'm running out of room here, and it's just a little bit easier to carry around my Kindle too. I've been loving reading off my Kindle, and I have like two of these. I have two Kindles, so I have to start using them a lot more. The first book I have here to haul is Wally Lamb's I Know This Much Is True. I stumbled upon this book, had no idea about this book, and it's been out since 1990, I believe. It was a highly talked about book back in its release day, but someone who I follow on Instagram, she posts this book all the time and says it's her favorite book of all time. She's reread it numerous times. And I'm just like, how could you read a book numerous times besides it's like Harry Potter and stuff like that? Like, how could you love it that much, especially something this big? Like, how are you rereading this book? I am absolutely loving this. I think this is one of my favorite books of all time. It is like a coming of age story, but someone who's in their 40s, kind of going through the motions of human life, and shit happens, basically. Like, that is the like motto of this book, is shit happens. I really, really love it so far, and the character Dominic is probably one of my favorite main characters that I've ever read before. I love his personality. He just doesn't give a shit, and he has a brother, Thomas, a twin brother, and his brother Thomas has schizophrenia. Now, the schizophrenia has, over the years, slowly taken over Thomas's brain, and totally he's just lost himself to the disease, and it's a really sad disease. And Dominic pretty much just reflects back on his life growing up with Thomas and realizing how different but how similar they really are, and the love he has for his brother, and he'll always defend his brother and take care of his brother, and he will go to great lengths to do that. And his brother is now in like a facility, a high security facility for something that he did to himself, and it made him almost like a menace to society and a threat to society. So they put him in like a high intense security psychiatric ward where he's getting bullied and all these things are happening to him, and Dominic is just trying to get him out of there. And it's just this story of Dominic speaking with the doctors and the social workers, and him just kind of reflecting on his life and like realizing a lot of things. Also, his grandfather, who has passed on before he was born, him and his brother were born, he stumbles upon his diary and he wants that to be translated because it is in Sicilian. So he brings it to somebody to have it translated. Later on in the book, it is translated, and he starts to read about his grandfather's life and how very similar his grandfather was to Thomas. So it's a huge complex story, but it is just so good. I highly recommend it. All the characters are very memorable in here. This is the first time in a long time that I've actually really truly loved a book. Like, I've given a lot of books 5 stars this year because I enjoyed a lot of books, but this book is like a 10-star for me. I am just loving it so much, and I'm almost done. So when I'm done with this video, hopefully I get to read some more, but I like to get a lot of it done today. It's just such a great story, and it is an HBO TV show, like a limited series. The star of the show is Mark Ruffalo, and he plays both brothers, so he plays the twins, which is really interesting. So I can't wait to finish this so I can watch the show. And let me know if you read that book as well, and if you enjoyed it. I mean, so many people have loved it, so The next book I purchased is The Rural Diaries by Hilary Burton Morgan. This is Jeffrey D. Morgan's wife. This is Hilary Burton from One Tree Hill, from my childhood. This is her diary. This is her love letter to her husband, to her farm, to her life. They've been through a lot of stuff together, and their love story is just one that it's just so cute. But I can't wait to read this because I do love Hilary, and I love that she has a farm. The cover is beautiful. I haven't read much nonfiction in a while either, but it's basically like their life on the farm. And just the illustrations are really pretty. It's just a pretty book in general. And there's just pictures in here. Like, look how cute. And Jensen Ackles married them, which I think is adorable. If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge Supernatural fan. So Jeffrey D. Morgan, who's Hilary Burton's husband, he plays the father of the two brothers, Sam and Dean, on Supernatural. So, yeah, I'm just excited to read about this because they live the life that I dream and want. I want to live on a farm. I want to have a bunch of animals. So can't wait to read this about Hilary and her life and her trials and tribulations of getting to where she is and finding her true happiness. Definitely give this a read if you're looking for a short nonfiction to read this summer. I feel like this will be a good summer read for most of us, especially if you grew up watching One Tree Hill. I love that show. Next up, I purchased My Dark Vanessa. I was supposed to read this for my May TBR. I never got to it. But I heard great things about this book. I'm just not ready for it yet. You know what I mean? Like when you buy a book, you hear about it, you don't know if you're ready for it. Well, I just don't know if I'm ready for the story. But hopefully this month in June, I get to this book. I really want to read it. It is a taboo romance between a girl and her teacher, and he has gaslighted her. He's, made her believe what their relationship is normal, and as she grows up, I guess she starts to realize that stuff is not normal. So definitely looking forward to getting into this. People who are sexually abused, a lot of the times they don't realize that they're being sexually abused until it's too late. So I'm really curious to read about Vanessa's story. I don't think this is based on a true story, but it could possibly be. But the author says it's not, and that all characters are fictional, but it could possibly be. I don't know. But I heard that the author took a very, very long time to publish this book and to write this book, and the author put a lot of work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this story. So I really can't wait to read it. I know it's gonna destroy me, and I'm here for it, but I don't know if I'm ready for it yet. Next, I got my Barnes & Noble pre-order of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, and I've heard not great things about this book, so I'm not in any rush to read it just yet. It is rather large, but it is a really beautiful hardback edition, and I really like it a lot. But I really want to reread Hunger Games first before I read this book. So let me know if you did that, like if you reread Hunger Games and then read this, or should I read this first and then reread Hunger Games? I'm not really sure which road to take yet, but we'll see what happens. I long awaited for this book. I was so excited when it first came out. Hunger Games got me back into reading young adult when it came out, and that was like the first series in a long time that I would wait impatiently for the next book. So I really can't wait to read this, but at the same time, the buzz about it just sounds like it's not that good. So we'll see what happens. I have to read it for myself to make the judgment, but I don't know if I'm in any rush to read it just yet. Next I have here The Age of Witches by Louisa Morgan. This book was highly anticipated for me because I just really love Louisa Morgan's books. I love what she does with her characters, and I love that they're feminine, witchy stories, and they just make you feel empowered as a woman. And they take place in all different types of centuries through the years. This one takes place in the 1800s with descendants of Bridget Bishop and her lineage. It takes place in London and also in America, in New York, in Gilded Age New York. So far, I'm currently reading it. So far, the characters, I'm enjoying them because it is like reading a fairy tale, this story, because there's an evil stepmother involved in this, and they do come from the same lineage of witches. Three main characters and the three different point of views in the story, they all come from they all are descendants of Bridget Bishop. Ian is the stepmother to Anise. Anise is Harriet, the other character in this book, her great niece. So they're all connected, like family-wise, bloodline-wise. So it's a little like tricky there with that, but it's a good story. It's just slow. I don't think it's the proper time of the year to be reading this. I think this is definitely more of a fall read. There's a lot of talk about horses as well, which I'm not very much into horses and equestrians and that whole world. I never really got into that, so it's kind of losing me a little bit, but I do love the magic in here. I love the spells in here. It's a lot of fun to read, and the book is just so pretty. This is like one of the prettiest books I own. Now let me just show you the end page. Like, it just feels like old and rustic, like all her books do, and it has deckled pages, which are my favorite, but this is just such a beautiful book. And it also is a romance, so it's like enemies to lovers kind of romance, because Francine, who is the stepmother to Anise, she is trying to marry Anise off to a prince in London so she could become rich and wealthy. So she's creates these dolls, like voodoo dolls, of Anise and the prince, and she's kind of doing these spells to make them fall in love, and Harriet kind of gets an inkling, a knowing of what's happening, and follows them into London to try to prevent what's happening and to tell Anise, like, I'm your aunt and I'm here to help you, and you need to get away from Francine because she's going to destroy your life and destroy your happiness, basically. So it's really a cute story so far, but like I said, I feel like it's more of a fall read. So if you want to put this on your fall TBR, if you're looking for like a witchy book to add to like your October TBR or something, I definitely suggest it because it is a little bit different than her other books. It's a lot more exciting than her other books, I think. Definitely check this out if you like witchy books, because I love Louisa Morgan's writing. I think it's so beautiful, so feminine and empowering, and hopefully I get to finish this. So next I have here If It Bleeds by Stephen King. This is a short story collection featuring Holly Gibney from Mr. Mercedes, his trilogy that he has. I have not read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, so I did read the first story in here, but I believe the rest of the stories are kind of spoilery for previous stories that he's written, especially the Good Luck Chuck one, The Life of Chuck. He wrote a previous short story about Chuck in one of his short story novels, so I have to read that one, and then there's a Holly Gibney in here, so it'll be quite some time until I finish this short story collection. But I'm excited that I have it. I really love the cover, and I'm glad I got a first edition hardback cover of this book because it's really cool. And the buzz about this is pretty good. I mean, the ratings are really good. Everyone's saying King is back to his old style of writing with this short story collection. So I'm excited to get to it whenever I get a chance. The next book that I have here is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things, and this is by Bryn Greenwood. This book has been suggested to me so many times. I can't even tell you, but I just never really wanted to pick it up because I wasn't sure about the taboo romance that is in here. I just wasn't sure how I felt about that. But I'm here, I'm ready for it. This is part of my June TBR. I'm going to read it. This is one of Jacqueline's favorite books, and I'm really excited to see my view on it. She likes a lot of taboo stuff. She likes cult things, and so do I, but I just wasn't sure about this book. But because she liked it, I feel like I'm gonna like it, so I can't wait to get to this for June. Next I have here The Roanoke Girls, which I really don't know much about this. I think it's a thriller. It's really short, so I don't want to know too much about it, but I know it involves cults and girls and something's going on in the summer. I felt like this was a great book to add to my June TBR because it's the beginning of summer. I gotta get in the summer spirit, and I love quick thrillers in the summer. It just makes me feel accomplished when I can finish a book in one sitting by the pool. Next I have here The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I have to look at the book to tell you the title because I keep saying it wrong. I don't know why, I just can't get it. But I heard amazing things about this book. It is a magical book. It has an almost 5-star rating on Goodreads with like over 20,000 ratings, I think. Crazy reviews on this book and so much buzz. I can't wait to read this. This is part of my June TBR. It is a magical story. It is LGBTQ plus rep in here. I want to say it's male romance in here. And I just can't wait to read this because I heard it's just such a good, uplifting story about belonging and just being comfortable in your own skin. So I really can't wait to read this. Let me know if you read this, if you loved it. I feel like everyone who's read it loved it. I haven't heard one bad rating of this book. I think it has to do with a magical school as well, so it's Harry Potter-esque. But is this a middle grade? Like, I don't know if this is middle grade or young adult or adult. I mean, the hardback was kind of expensive. It was $26.99. So usually when it's that expensive, it's kind of more on the adult side of things. I don't know. You tell me. Put this on your TBRs if you haven't already, if you're looking for a feel-good book this summer. I have here The Grace Year by Kim Lidgett. I didn't really put this on my radar at all, but a lot of the girls from our Read with Friends group loved this book and everyone talks about it in our group chat, so I have to read it. I need to know what everyone's talking about. Everyone's read this, mostly everyone's read this in one sitting. So I need to know what the story is about. It sounds really good from what I know, but it is a thriller, so I don't want to know too much about it. But it is like about girls luring men of some sort in their 16th year. It sounds taboo. I feel like this book haul is just a taboo book haul, but it just sounds really interesting and feminine and powerful, and yeah, I want to read this. So this is on my June TBR as well. Next I have here a Christina Lauren book, Love and Other Words. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. This is like a long lost romance of a girl who revisits, I guess, her high school love and the romance, and I think she's getting married and she decides like not to get married. I don't really know, but it's a refound romance per se. So I can't wait to read this book. I love On Honeymooners last summer. I read that by Christina Lauren and loved it. So I feel like it's very fitting to read another Christina Lauren this summer, and that will be this one. The next I have The Bromance Book Club, and this is by Alyssa K. Adams. This second one I think just came out for this as well, and I believe this was picked up for a Netflix series. I can't wait to read this. I think this is a great idea where it's men that get together in a book club reading the books that their wives read to kind of get a feel and bring romance back to their relationships, because a lot of them have failing marriages, especially the main character. I believe he's trying to fix his marriage because it's just kind of losing its spark. So I am really intrigued to read this. This is part of my June TBR. It sounds fun. I love the cover. I think it's really cute. I think this is a great idea. I think all men should do this. This is a great idea, and I can't wait to see who they pick for the Netflix movie or a series that they're gonna do. Next I have here the sequel to The Devouring Grey, The Deck of Omens by Christine Lynn Herman. I really enjoyed The Devouring Grey when I read it last year. Can't really tell you what it's about. I know I really enjoyed it, but I don't remember much of it. I know it's about a town called Four Paths, and there's these 4 kids who are like not the heirs of the town. What are they? Like I don't freaking know. I might have to reread The Devouring Grey in order to read The Deck of Omens, but I heard the sequel is just as good as the first, if not better, so I can't wait to get into this. I have a Stephen King haul of these Halloween editions of his books from Book Depository. This is Rose Matter, which was our Constantly Reading book club pick last month in May. Really love this book. Like, this is the coolest looking one, I think. And then there's Cell, which I never read Cell. I've heard nothing but awful things about this book, but I'm gonna read it because I have this awesome edition. Oh, just lost the bookmark. Really cool. And then I have Carrie, which I really love this edition of Carrie. Like, this is the coolest edition of Carrie there probably ever was. There's Carrie with her crown on the cover. Really cool. And then Bag of Bones, which is my favorite Stephen King book of all time. And we got that. Really cool with the hand coming out of the ground. Love it. And then I got on eBay, I found this really great edition of Lisa's Story with these cool spines. I love these spines, but in case you didn't know, I purchased it because of the butterfly on the cover, because I obviously love butterflies. So this cover is really beautiful. And this is a story that I really can't wait to read. I really cannot wait to read it. So that's pretty much it for like the physical book haul right now. I'm still waiting on some books in the mail, like Beach Read by Emily Henry. That's supposed to come from Amazon, but they lost it. So I'm waiting for a replacement for that. And then I have the Throne of Glass Book Depository UK editions. I literally bought the whole series. I can't wait to get that, but that's not here yet either because that's coming from overseas. So let's get into the Kindle haul. So currently, I have some steamy romances on here, which I normally don't read these steamy romances, but it's part of my secret TBR this month. I will be reading steamy romances, in case you didn't guess, which you guys know I don't read them. I'm more of like a thriller horror reader, but I want to know what the world is about. Everyone talks about them. I just need to know. So I have The Hunter on here by L.J. Shen, which is a like Boston bad boy who has to be celibate for a month, and his father sends him like this babysitter girl who's a dork and a nerd. Her name's Sailor. So we all know how it's gonna go. He's probably not gonna stay celibate. Then next I have Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling, because Jess from Peace Loves Books loves Gianna Darling's books, and this is a motorcycle club romance, and I really love that idea because I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that. I want to say this boy is he in a motorcycle club? I don't know if he's in a motorcycle club. It's the first book in the series, and it's the something prophecy, Reaper's Prophecy series. And I think he's like into poetry and into literature, but he's also a bad boy and he's trying to get with his teacher. So that sounds good. Then on Kindle Unlimited, I got On the Rocks by Candy Steiner. I've never read anything from Candy Steiner, but I heard also her romances are great, and that is like a Southern boy romance, which I've been looking for. I believe it's like takes place in Tennessee. So looking forward to that. Also, bad boy romance. I downloaded Verity by Colleen Hoover because I have not read that one yet. That is like more of a thriller book that she put out recently, and I heard mixed things about it, but recently I've been hearing more and more good things about it. So can't wait to read that. I also have downloaded thriller-wise What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I pre-ordered this on my Kindle. I can't wait to read this because I know Gabby at Gabby Reads loves John Mars's books, so this will be one of my first John Mars's books. Hopefully it's the first of many more. I would like to order a couple of his books, but I wanted to read it on my Kindle first before I ordered One or Passengers. Those both sound really great to me. What Lies Between Us, I don't really know much about this story. And like I said with my thrillers, I don't really like to know much going into them because I feel like a lot of the times the synopsis gives things away. All I know is that my friends like this book and I'm gonna read it. The next I downloaded Witches of Ash and Ruin. I believe this is like a magical fantasy. Not ready for it yet. It is by E. Latimer. Never really. My dog is like literally like rubbing her whole body on my bed right now. I've never heard of it, but it was on Kindle for $1.99, so I was like, that sounds good. I'll download it. Then I have Darling Rose Gold by Stephanie Roble. Also heard really great things about this. I want to say this is kind of like a reflection of that girl Gypsy story where her mother kind of basically told her she had things wrong with her, Munchausen syndrome. I can't even pronounce it. And her mother gets like locked up in jail, and there's a whole big thing, but and then she gets locked up in jail for murdering her mother. So that's a true story. I think it's kind of based on that story. I don't really know. From Netgalley, I have The Girl from Widow Hills by Megan Miranda. I actually read and finished the book this month. Didn't really love it. I felt like it was more of a romance than a thriller. There was nothing thrilling about the story to me. I don't know. For some reason, Megan Miranda's books are just hit or miss for me, and this one was definitely a miss. Didn't really enjoy it, but thank you, Netgalley, for giving me an early release copy of that book. Then next I have on Kindle, The Living Dead by George A. Romero and Daniel Kraus, who wrote Rotters, which was a really great book. Rotters was a great book. This is basically a zombie story. It's over 600 pages. I'm waiting for my physical copy for it, for an ARC, but because Tor is kind of behind on giving their physical copies out right now, they lent me an e-ARC so I can get started on this book, but I haven't started it yet. I love zombie stories in the summer. I think they're exciting, they're fun. It kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead. It is a zombie story. It is about a virus that gets out, just like every zombie story, and kind of weird with what's going on now as well. Next I have from the lovely Alice Hoffman, Magic Lessons, which is her third book in the Magic Lessons series, I think it's called, or the Practical Magic series. I love Practical Magic. That is my favorite movie. It is my favorite book of all time. Really excited that I was able to get an e-ARC of this book. Hopefully I can get a physical, but Alice Hoffman is the sweetest too. We communicate on Instagram all the time, and I just think she's an amazing person. And the fact that I get to speak to the person who created something that I love, that has changed my life over the years, I just feel humbled. Magic Lessons is the story of Maria Owens, who is the original descendant of the Owens family. She is the one that creates the curse that these women live with for the rest of their lives. I'm curious to see Maria Owens' story and what causes her bitter end at the end of all of this, and what creates this curse in the end. So I'm really excited that Alice decided to continue on in the series of these books, because we need more of that in our lives. We need more practical magic, because it just signifies unity, family, femininity, and I just love books about witches. I really do. I'll read anything about witches. I also have an e-book of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, who is also one of my favorite authors. She has written the Darker Shade of Magic series. She's written Vicious. She's written Tunnel of Bones, right? Is that what it's called? Tunnel of Bones? I think that's the second book in the series. She's written a lot of stuff. I love what she writes. This book is a book that she has been working on for 10 plus years, and it is kind of like I sold my soul to the devil type of story. It's about a girl who pretty much just lives forever, but nobody remembers her. It's a really weird concept. I want to say that the devil is involved in the story. I haven't read it yet. It comes out in October. I just need to find the right time to submerge myself into this book and really read it, because it's I know it's going to be a cherished book of mine, and I just can't wait to read it. But I also don't want to rush reading it or start it and not finish it. So I'm looking for the perfect moment to read this book. Also, I have here The Year of Witching by Alexis Henderson. This book comes out in July. This is also like a historical fiction about witches. I don't know if it's like a Salem witches, but I know there's a war involved as well. I started reading it. It's a fantasy. It's a little brutal. There is some bloody parts, so I want to say it's an adult. I don't think it's a young adult book at all. But like I said, check it out. It's by Alexis Henderson, and it's called The Year of Witching. It sounds like it's going to be a new buzzworthy book coming out. It's pretty good so far. I started it. I've been reading it slowly. I'm liking it. Then finally, I have on here Prelude for Lost Souls. I believe this book comes out in August. And this is by Helene Dunbar. That's pretty much what this book is the title is A Prelude for Lost Souls. I want to say it's like Souls in Limbo. Haven't really read it. Don't really know much about it either, synopsis-wise, but it is a buzzworthy book, and I received that on Netgalley as well. What I discovered during this book haul that I just talked for like a half an hour. I have a lot of books to read and I don't know when I'm gonna read them. So I'm sure most of you guys can relate, but it is a little overwhelming when you really break it down, because if I counted the amount of pages here right now in this book haul, that's a lot of freaking time right there. Thank you guys for watching my book haul. I have applied for a lot more galleys. I did update my Netgalley page, so I am at like a 75% on my feedback, which I'm so proud of myself. Finally got that done in this quarantine. I'm loving this quarantine because I'm getting a lot of stuff done that I probably would have just kept pushing off and never gotten done. Also, I'm organizing my life. I started bullet journaling and doing all that stuff, and it's making me really excited. I'm really excited for the summer. I have a lot of great books that I know I'm gonna read, and I can't wait to give you guys some feedback on all of the books that I purchased here. For now, that is all I have for you, and if you like this channel, you want to see more book hauls from me, please just like and subscribe down below, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye!